Vsako sekundo bomo začeli.
Dvakrat stisne zamjet, pa unmute.
Okay, I guess now we can start, right? Yeah. So welcome everybody to this Prospective Student Day. So basically, we're here to give you some information about our doctoral program. As every year, in the beginning of April, we give this information and try to invite students that are eager to do some research work in computer science to join us at our doctoral program. And what we would like, of course, give you all the information that we are supposed to give you, so that you are, in an easier situation to decide whether to come to our doctoral program or not, but also to show you why this program is good for. Why should you, if you're considering this, why should you take this step and do the doctoral dissertation at our faculty? But maybe before we start with what I have to tell you, maybe we should just listen to our students. What do they have to tell about the doctoral study?
Pri doktorskem študiju mi je najbolj všeč v bistvu to raznoliko delo, torej velikokrat gre ali za raziskovanje, včasih tudi za poučevanje, včasih pa celo za recimo organizacijo kakšnih pomembnih konferenc.
Najboljša stvar po mojem mnenju na doktoratu so definitivno moji sodelavci in moj mentor.
Meni najboljša stvar pri doktorskem študiju je ta svoboda, ki jo imaš pri raziskovanju. Zdaj imaš neko določeno vlogo v laboratoriju ali pa na projektu, ampak dejanske probleme si pa zbereš sam.
Poleg tega ti pa doktorat omogoča tudi ful enih takih enkratnih izkušenj, ki jih drugače ne bi doživel. Recimo udeležba na mednarodnih konferencah, kjer se srečaš z najboljšimi znanstveniki iz vsega sveta.
Delate v bistvu stvari, ki vas zanimajo, vas pa seveda mora zanimati raziskovalno delo.
Okay, so I'll translate that to English for whoever does not speak Slovene. So what Darjan said, that he really enjoys very diverse work, from research primarily, right, but also in his case teaching, organization of some events and so on. So it's really much richer than just study something. Loise exposed co-workers and his supervisor, his mentor. He really likes to work with them. And also like participation at conferences, gaining experiences, the different events. So it's quite rich work, I would say, also from this point of view. Matej says really enjoys the freedom in research, right? So that he has the possibility what to work on, right? Really to select the research topics he's working on, and to select the problems that are challenging and you'd like to address them. The second Matej again exposed that he really likes to work on what you or him or you are interested in. And if you like research, then this is something that it's something for you, right? So, and I'd also like to expose the last line, right? So that the doctoral study is about research, right? It's not study as such. Like the first and the second Bologna cycle are really study. You have exams, you learn something new, and so on. But now you also learn a lot of new things, right? But the primarily focus is that you have to invent something new, right? So doctoral students, they have to do research. They have to go beyond the state of the art, They have to enlarge the current body of knowledge. And this is quite different than what you were exposed to in master study or on bachelor study. So that's why we always put a lot of emphasis on research, and what you see here is doctoral study equals research. So it's not study as such. It's more really doing research. We have quite diverse research here at our faculty. We have 19 laboratories, 60 different mentors, and it's really everybody can find, I would say, right, something that he's interested in. And my first advice is that you really think since you're sitting here, you're considering to enroll for doctoral study, right? So, you probably know what you're interested in, what your topic of research could be, at least potentially. Not really the fine-grained topic that you'll somehow detail in the second year of the study, but you know what you're interested in. And we have, as I said before, enough laboratories, mentors that probably we cover everything that you can imagine at our faculty. And the first goal of you would be to really pick a topic, like at least a broader topic, and then a mentor that would advise you through this doctoral study. And speaking from the point of view of topics, we just listed a couple of them here, from integrated systems to, I don't know, biometry. We do a lot of biometry here. Cybersecurity is very popular, right? And even, every day, basically, more and more important. You can do your research on this topic here. We do a lot of research on language technologies, natural language processing, and everything that fits together. Istok will tell us something more about that later. Blockchain and cloud computing. Professor Stankowski will say something about that later. We have a lot of projects on that topic. So if you're interested in that, I'm pretty sure that he will be glad to talk to you about possibilities to collaborate on these topics. We do a lot of data mining. This faculty, Orange data mining tool, which is probably like one of the best, I won't say the best, but one of the best data mining tools in the world, and not only the very, very heavily used worldwide, has been developed here at this faculty. Definitely more than half of our researchers are working in AI, like in one or the other areas of artificial intelligence. So this is definitely a very strong topic which is being pursued at our faculty. Computer vision as well, right? So we have a lot of projects, a lot of papers, and so on in the field of computer vision. Supercomputing, not only for supporting computer vision and AI as such, and deep learning and so on, but also as a research topic per se. So if you're interested in those topics, I'm pretty sure you can find here a mentor, even a project you can work on during your doctoral dissertation. The students that actually studied at this faculty, you already know that we have very modern facilities. We moved in this building 8 years ago, 9? It's not 10, it's really 10. Okay, 10 years ago. So I can't say we are new anymore. So I was always advertising that we have new facilities. They are almost a decade old, but still very good, very excellent ones. I always say we're good in research at our faculty. But okay, maybe we are not the best. Maybe we're not the best in the world, but we're definitely the most beautiful in the world. So if you look at the building and labs and so on, we really cannot complain about conditions, working conditions here. And if you will join us, okay, you have lectures and you at doctoral level here, but we will be heavily involved in the research work, probably in one of the labs, right? So you'll be really spending a lot of time here at this faculty, and this will be quite beneficial for you, that the conditions that we have offer a lot of opportunities. Also, since we are working in computer science, computational facilities are of great importance. And also from this point of view, also the labs are mostly very well equipped, but also the faculty as such is very well equipped with supercomputing technologies, right? We have a lot of computing servers that can be used by our students and researchers. Maybe Istok, if you can tell us something more about that.
Okay. So basically at our faculty we've set up a supercomputing system based on DGX A100 systems that started. This was 3 years ago. Then we've acquired some new hardware this year. This year in spring, we've added a couple more GPUs, again, A100s with 80 gigabytes of RAM. We've also acquired an H100 with 80 gigabytes of RAM, DGX one. Then we've managed to score 2 upcoming Grace Hopper systems that have 96 gigabytes of RAM and 900 gigabits per second interconnection between an ARM processor and a GPU processor. Then we have an experimental system with AMD GPUs so that you can even try training on AMD GPUs. This is all connected in a Slurm-based system so that there's a queuing method for your projects so that you can place your project or job into a queue, and sooner or later you'll get resources. We've even scored a massive funding, and we're planning to build a containered data center on the roof of the faculty with even more hardware inside. So that's a more longer plan. In a year, it should be operational in a year or two. Up until then, we're going to progress this one that's currently available. So that's a very short description of what we have. Roughly, it's, I think it's 1.5 terabytes of RAM available on GPU systems. And I think it's 24 GPUs at the moment, and additional 120 or something with smaller memory on GPUs. So, yeah. So there's a lot of hardware on-premise, but otherwise we have access to Vega as well. We can organize access to Lumi, to Leonardo and other supercomputing centers nearby, because we are part of the Euro HPC consortium, the container-based group as well, and so forth. Yeah.
So Isto Kleber Bajec, thank you very much for this information. Maybe we are emphasizing that, but indeed, like in computer sciences, especially in machine learning, deep learning, like the equipment is quite an important part. If you don't have it, then you're not in the position to do the real research. And I can say that we are completely comparable. So we cannot compete with Google and Microsoft and, I don't know, OpenAI and so on in terms of resources, but I'm pretty sure that we can compete with most of the universities around. So this is definitely not a bottleneck, right? So, and this is important, and that's why we stress that. Okay. That's what we have. Yeah. Okay. So it's yeah.
Živijo, jaz sem v LRV-ju, se pravi v laboratoriju za računalniški vid, in kot doktorski študent pod mentorstvom Petra Pera se ukvarjam z biometrijo in v mojem primeru z biometrijo očesa.
Okay, so now the doctoral students for the current doctoral students were asked what is their research topic. I will just show all 4 of them and then I'll translate to English.
Prihajam iz laboratorija za umetno vizualno spoznavne sisteme in v svojem doktoratu se ukvarjam z detekcijo ovir za avtonomna plovila.
Zdravo, moje ime je Darjan, jaz sem zaposlen v laboratoriju za računalniški vid kot mladi raziskovalec in v sklopu doktorskega študija raziskujem ustvarjanje sintetičnih biometričnih podatkov.
Živijo, sem Matej Klemen in sem član laboratorija za kognitivno modeliranje. V okviru svojega doktorskega študija se ukvarjam z razvojem metod za obdelavo naravnega jezika. Bolj konkretno me pa zanima, kako ti modeli delujejo, pa če jim lahko še kaj dodamo, da bodo delovali boljše.
Okay, so we had 4 students. The first, like Matej, he's working in a laboratory of computer vision, working on biometry, primarily on eye biometry, so how to recognize, categorize, and so on persons according to the eye, images of eyes. Loise is working in Visual Cognitive Systems Laboratory, working on obstacle detection in autonomous boats. Darian, he's a young researcher working on generating synthetic biometric data. And Matej is working in a laboratory of cognitive modeling on NLP, natural language processing, so how to extend the current NL models to work even better than they currently work. So quite diverse topics. When they came here, basically they selected what they would like to do. Their interest matched actually the ideas that mentors had, or the projects actually that mentors had, and now they're pursuing that. They're in the second, third year, like Loise will finish soon. So they're quite far with their research, and they can show you also a lot of work done. So we will not show that today here, because what we wanted to show with this, we wanted to give the word to the students to tell you something, what they do, right? But not only in videos, also in live. So I would like to welcome Yannick Kuchar to come to the stage and to tell us something, in person. So, hi.
Hello.
Hello. So the first question, why and how, and also I would say when, did you decide for doctoral study? So what motivated you, and what still motivates you to do this research?
The story is a bit a funny one, but the only thing that connects me is my motivation. So my motivation is I chose computer science as my field, and I want to leave it better than I found it. And with that, that's adding my 2 cents to it, which is a scientific contribution, which is a definition of the doctoral program.
Okay, that's really very, I would like to interrupt, but I will cite you at some point. So you would like to leave computer science in a better as currently, as
Yes.
it is right now. And this is a very good point. So that's a nice citation.
So why the story is funny, I used to work in a company, and it was, I will echo what Matej said earlier about the diverse work and many problems. I worked in a QA department, and I did the exact same thing week after week, just testing those routers. And I left the job because it didn't fulfill me. And 2 days later, my supervisor asked, hey, I got a PhD position, do you want to come? And I took it as a sign, and I said, okay, let's go. And here I am.
No, but actually today, over the lunch, I had a conversation with one doctoral student who actually told me the same story. See, he worked for a couple of months or years, I don't know, in some company, and then he found out, okay, there could be something more interesting to that. So he appreciates that experience in company, right? But this work that he found here is more challenging than what he was doing there, right? And
I find it more fulfilling because I have this flagship project, and I'm working on it every week and expanding it. And just seeing my baby grow is it's very fulfilling.
So what is your topic? What are you working on?
I work on machine learning on graphs, specifically how to use theoretical properties of graph theory in machine learning. So I have a little presentation prepared, but I need that red marker.
Sure.
Because when it comes to graphs, it's just easier to draw on a board. So let's start with a simple 4 cycle. I hope this is large enough. And so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's add some arcs. So right now I'm working with the properties of graph symmetries. And to do machine learning on graphs, first they need to be translated into vectors. And how we can do that using symmetries is simply count them. So we have, okay, edges 1 and 3 are symmetrical. So this is 1 symmetry. There is edges 2 and 4. So let me draw a bit larger. And the combination of them both also applies. So how do we use this to translate a vector? Just simply put it, okay, we have 2 symmetries of length 2. So we have 0 symmetries of length 3. And we have 1 symmetry of length 2, 2. Sorry. Here is 1, here is 2, 2. And this is one way to vectorize a graph, and I'm currently comparing this to the state of the art. And we'll see some results are promising, but we still some testing left.
Okay, okay, nice. So maybe just, you know, how is to be a doctoral student? How would you explain like potential students here? Can you compare like the doctoral study with master and bachelor study before?
No, you can't really compare it because it's a very different type of study. So like I said earlier, usually you choose what you will be working on as your topic, and then you create a project like something you compare with the state of the art, and you grow it over the course of your doctoral study. So all courses are intended to help you with expanding that project, and hopefully you turn it into a scientific contribution. And yeah, that's basically it. Your topic is the glue that holds everything together, like the driving force of everything. Whilst in like master studies, you need to study many different topics to go for exam. But it's, in one sentence, it's much more project focused than everything else, than all other studies.
Okay, thank you very much, because this was a very nice somehow introduction to the next slide. So Yannick will be here, so you can ask you, I will now continue with my presentation, but after that he will be available, right, for any questions that you might have. Even after this, we'll have like pizza outside, so we can maybe talk to him a little bit more informally. So that's, you know, without us listening what you're asking him and what his replies are, right, which are even more important. But anyway, yeah, please talk to him if you want to get some additional information from the first hand later on. Okay, thank you. So, okay, maybe we can give an applause to him. Yeah? But I will just continue, not to take this event too long, right? To say a couple of words about study program. I think that Yannick already very nicely summarized what our main aim is with this study program. So it's about this, right? It's about doctoral dissertation, and everything that you do here is supposed to be oriented to the final goal to deliver as good dissertation as possible, right? And yeah, we have courses, so just briefly to summarize, you have 4 years. So like officially the doctoral study, the duration of the doctoral study is 4 years. It used to be 3 years in the past, but actually nobody finished in 3 years. So now officially admitted that 4 years is something which is just around right to finish the doctoral dissertation. So in the first year, you have a couple of courses, but most of the work is basically individual research work, right? In all 4 years. Next to that, in the first, you have like seminars 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these seminars are officially a course. Every one of them is worth 5 credit points. But basically, what you have to do in seminar 1, you have to read the related work and write a seminar about it. In seminar 3 as well, but a little bit more extended, more advanced. Seminar 2 and seminar 4, you learn how to write a paper, and you write a paper about the topic you're working on, right? So those 4 courses are officially courses, but basically you work on your dissertation. You have to read related work. Even if you have that course or not, this is something that you have to do at the beginning. So from one point of view, we try to guide you with these seminars that you do everything which is needed for doctoral dissertation. So they are courses, but more or less they are very connected to the research work. And then in the first and the second, so in the first work year, you also have scientific skills 1 course, where you learn some general soft skills like something about ethics, something where to find work, related work, how to write a paper, what is the project, how to understand the project, and so on. So it's more some soft skills that you learn at this course. And then you have in the first year and in the second years, you have 2 elective courses. 2 elective courses that you have to select from this list here, or 2 of them can be selected even at other faculties or universities. They are really freely elective. And the main intention of these courses is, again, not to force you to do something orthogonal to your work, but something that would help you with your dissertation, right? So we try to offer as many of these courses as possible, and many students, they find them aligned to their work. Some of them maybe not. That's why we also introduced a couple of years ago this individual research type courses where you can, it is a course offered by a number of supervisors here at this faculty, and they can, again, next to your supervisor, maybe some other professor here at the faculty can focus on a particular topic which is, really we want to be very related to your topic, and he can or she can help you basically to push forward that particular topic. So there are 4 courses. There is a lot of possibilities to select something that relates to your research, right? And this is our wish, really, to speed up your and to improve, basically, to make it better, your research. Then in the 3rd year, you have only individual research work, and in the 4th year, there is scientific skills too. So basically, this is the final year when your dissertation is almost done. One course is scientific skills 2, where you have to, you will learn how to write project proposals. So basically, the idea is that you actually write down your postdoc proposal, for instance, right? Once you're matured enough, you know how to do the research, you did most of it, then you can try write, again, in a guided way, to write a project proposal to earn, to win some grants after that. And this seminar 5 is basically when you're done with your dissertation, before you submit it officially, you submit, like, let's say, an unofficial version to this last course that you have, seminar 5. And then you present it. We call that like a pre-defense, this seminar 5, which means that you show it to the committee, to the doctoral thesis committee. And once you do that, once you pass this course, then you're done, right? Then you just take their comments into account of the committee, polish everything, submit the final version, and the final presentation, like the defense, basically, it's more celebration, right? It's a kind of to celebrate your achievement, with your friends, whilst this seminar 5 is basically the final milestone that has to be passed. Maybe just one thing to be mentioned, if you're talking about the program, in the middle of the 2nd year, you will have to apply for the doctoral dissertation, so like the topic of doctoral dissertation. So you'll submit doctoral dissertation proposal where you have to somehow already know what your contributions will be, right? So as Yannick said, right, this is also something that I usually write. So if this is the current state of the art, if this is all the knowledge that exists in the world, right, your goal is to do that, right, to extend it a little bit somewhere. Okay, so to make this entire body of knowledge in the world a little bit larger, and these are those contributions to science that every one of you is supposed to do, and this is something that everyone enjoys, really. When you invent something new that nobody else didn't, right? So that's really great, right? So, and this is what doctoral study is about. These are elective courses. I mentioned them before. Now, when speaking about different topics, what we did, we took a couple of titles or adapted titles, like simplified titles, because titles are a little bit longer usually, right? We simplified them just to show you what kind of dissertations were defended in last couple of years. There were more on them, but this is a kind of a list of a couple of them, like explainable AI, information security, secure software development, deep reinforcement learning for target-driven robot navigation, right? So deep learning navigation, again, deep learning for phase identification with guns. Generative, this was with guns, but also with others, generative neural networks. Obstacle detection for autonomous boats, surface detection of surface anomalies with deep learning, NLP, cross-lingual word embeddings, and so on. So these are like typical topics that we often encounter here at our doctoral study. But of course, whatever you want to do, it can be on this list, right? So just to get a feeling what we're working on here. Now, this slide is quite nice, and maybe I will stop a couple of minutes on it. So why, now you're thinking whether to go or not to go to doctoral study, many of you. And you're deciding whether to go to company, earn a lot of money and so on, or to spend 4 years here doing research, right? So what I will gain, right? So, and this is typically, if you look at the students, students that like doctoral students that finished like this program, and if you look where they are now, maybe this can tell you where can you be in like 5 years or 10 years or so, right? So, and we took like a number of students that finished, like I guess 27 students that finished the doctoral dissertation, defended the dissertation in the last couple of years, and 10 of them are here, like in academia, like as teaching assistants, assistant professors, researchers, postdocs, and so on, while 17 of them are in companies, right, in industry. I did a similar analysis years ago, and at that time also I found out that approximately half of the students remain in academy, either in research or in teaching or something like that. Half of them go to the companies. Now this ratio is like almost 2 to 1, and this is something to be expected, right? And if you look what the students, I mean these like past students, do in these companies, they are mainly like some kind of leading position. So if you do the doctoral dissertation, when I was showing this, so this is also what I usually say. When you finish your dissertation, there shouldn't be any other person in the world that knows more about that particular topic you're working on than you, right? You're the top expert in that particular like niche problem that you selected for your dissertation. That's great, right? But this is not the only quality that you gain. So you'll learn how to do research, and real research, not just one project at some, for seminar work at some course. This is like serious job that you know how to analyze the problem, how to hypothesize what the solution would be, to set up the solution, to evaluate rigorously solution, and so on. So these are the qualities that are very important in many companies for many problems, right? And me, as an employer at some company, I would very appreciate that. So to get a person with that knowledge. Not to mention that, doing the PhD is not an easy task. So you really have a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles to overcome, and so on. And this builds, will build you as a person. So you'll be capable of facing the problems and overcoming them. Even, only the fact that you select to go here to do the dissertation, not to, earn money in some big company, tells you something about, you, so that you're really motivated to do that. And this is also very positive, I would say, property or, a characteristic of a person. So from like this industrial point of view, like the companies that would employ doctoral students after they finish, they will really get very motivated, very knowledgeable, very, something, like the researchers that are a little bit more than others, right? That's why I also consider to like this doctoral dissertation not to be only for the academia. If you want to go academia, of course you need PhD, otherwise you can't do anything, right? But even in companies, I would say this is a great plus. And I hope and I think, let me put it this way, that the companies in Slovenia will be more and more aware of that, right? At least this is my feeling. Yeah, this is just a number of companies that, these are actually the companies where our ex-doctoral students work currently, right? Like those that finished their dissertation in the last couple of years. Yeah, my message here is, like, PhDs are not only for academia, or for companies as well, right? If you just list a couple of them, like we all know Marinka Žitnik, she's a professor at Harvard, what can you do more than that in academia, right? Sanja Fiedler, she's also a professor, she also works at NVIDIA research and so on. Jure Žbontar, he's at OpenAI. Martin Možina is in Mercator, right? In quite an important position. Miha Šadohar at Genialis, Martin Jakomin at Outbrain, and so on. So there is a number of our successful postdoctoral students that actually hold quite important positions in important companies. So, yeah, this is what I wanted now to emphasize from the, if you're considering whether to go or not to go. And now we have another student, current doctoral student, that can maybe convince you a little bit more, right? From this first perspective, Eva Bonesh. Bonesh or Bonesh?
Bonesh.
Bonesh, okay, Eva Bonesh, I was right.
Yes.
So, okay, why and how did you decide, again, for doctoral study? And again, what motivates you to do that?
Yeah, so I never thought about doing a PhD before master's, even during master's. And then I went for an internship in KAUST, so this very research-based university for 3 months. And there I met, I was kind of sucked into this community of researchers, and I met PhD students and postdocs and research scientists and everyone, and kind of saw that research might be a way to go, that it might be something that I'm interested in. And basically the thing I find most interesting about research is the specific kind of problem solving that it requires. Because I think what it boils down to is just taking all the knowledge that you've gained, so in your studies before, or just in life, or just inspiration from life, and then putting it into this very specific problem that you're trying to solve. And I find that very interesting, just finding inspiration from completely unconnected topic and putting it into yours. So yeah.
And this is something that you can really afford so this is research, right? It's not something which can be planned in every detail, right? You have to find a way how to do it, right? And and again, if you compare that with the first and second Bologna cycle, it's a kind of
I don't think you can. Again, I agree with Yannick. I don't think you can compare that. But I mean, it's just it's less of a getting knowledge from someone that knows about it, but more of thinking how to apply that knowledge to something else that people didn't think about yet.
Exactly. About this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what is your topic? I have a couple of slides about your work. So maybe if you
just one.
Yeah, just one. Okay.
So I think just the gist of it would be I am trying to improve the quality of microscope data, or like the results that we get from a specific type of microscope, so a cryo electron microscope. And I am lucky enough to be also in this other university, and I have access to a microscope there. So I am trying to tackle this problem both from the perspective of actually acquiring the data, and then from computer science perspective of how to get the best quality of the data that we get from the microscope. And I think this is detailed enough.
Okay, for now I think will suffice. So can you tell us something more about this other university, right? And
so I am doing a double doctoral degree with KAUST. So it's King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. And it's quite a different experience of a PhD studies, I think. There you are actually just working on the research that you are working on, and that has pros and cons. So a pro, of course, is you don't have to worry about anything else or where to get funded or whatever else. But a con, I would say also a pro here would be that when you're involved in other projects and other stuff, you can kind of get out of a rut if you get stuck with your project from one sense, like if you are working on something else. And then also you get extra knowledge from other projects, extra ideas that you can then apply into your own research. So yeah, that would be, I think both have pros and cons.
So you have a positive experience with this double degree program that's...
I think it's a good mix of everything, because also Slovenia versus Saudi Arabia, just like nature-wise, I think is a...
It's a different.
It's very different, but I think it's a good mix.
Okay, thank you, Eva. So she will be here as well. So for additional questions after that, right? But let me expose here when we're looking at this KAUST, we also have other possibilities for double degrees. So at the doctoral level, this is a kind of easier, right? So what does double degree means actually? When she will finish that, she will get a double degree, like a degree, doctoral degree from our university, basically, because like university grants the degree, and also from KAUST, right? So, and similarly, maybe you know for this double degree that you have on the master level, Graz, for instance, right? Technical University of Graz. On the doctoral level, it's a little bit easier to arrange that, right? So like these agreements can be signed on the individual basis, and there are some calls from time to time that enable that, right? To do this double degree research. Maybe one option more if you find out something like that. Okay, but speaking about this collaboration, of course, double degree, it's not, we don't have many double degrees, but what we really do have a lot is collaboration with other universities, our faculties, our research institutions. So nowadays, basically, you can't do any research in isolation. You compete with the entire world, right? So this image here, this is not, it doesn't matter what you know in Slovenia and that you just, push a little bit that knowledge in Slovenia a little bit further. This doesn't matter. So it's really, you need to compete with the entire world. On one hand, but also on the other hand, you can collaborate with the entire world. And at our faculty, we have quite a good connections, let me say it like this, to other research institutions worldwide. Just a couple of them are listed here, like JRC or CERN, KNU, University College London, Baylor College, and so on. So there's a lot of mostly mentors. Usually they have a good connection with some other foreign institutions. Also on the institutional level, we have some agreements signed with other institutions, but definitely we very, very encourage students to collaborate with international scientific like researchers, right? So we very encourage students to go to conferences, to go for research visits, to go to exchange visits and so on. We even offer a fund, right? So for research and study visits abroad, right? Like the faculty offers some money basically to cover your expenses when you go abroad. So it's really something, especially in computer science, right? In computer science, conferences are more important than journals, right? So when you publish something in journal, it's already, last year's snow almost, right? So because it takes so long to publish. The conferences are really something which are state of the art. And even in conferences now, usually you publish in archive when you submit a conference because you want to be really up to date. And when you go to conferences, you speak to other people, other researchers, you present your work to them, you see what they are working on, you establish connections, and that's something which is must, right? So if you enjoy traveling around, but this is not, whenever I go to conference, oh, you are going, yeah, I'm going there to the hotel and to the conference room and back. So this is really not, they are not vacations, right? They are really hard work there as well, but you can see a lot of work as well. But this is something that you have to do in order to prosper, right? To really grow as a researcher, to disseminate your work and also to acquire like the knowledge from others. And from this point of view, I think we are quite well positioned. Yeah, we have more than 200 collaborating institutions worldwide, right? Now, speaking about this international collaboration, a couple of words about Slovenia and about Ljubljana for the students that are not coming from Slovenia, or they are not they're not currently in Slovenia, so they don't know Slovenia. For you, everything is obvious, right? Ljubljana is quite a pleasant city, quite safe to live in. I came across to some survey or something like that just a couple of days ago that Ljubljana is the safest city in the world, right? Of course, there are like different metrics you can measure that, but definitely it's very safe in comparison with many other cities. It's pleasant. We are really located geographically just on the right place between Mediterranean, Alps, Pannonian Plains, right, between east and west, north and south. So from geostrategical location, we are really nicely positioned. The living costs are relatively low in comparison with many other countries, right? And you also get all these benefits. You probably know about them, about subsidized lunch, transportation. We have dorms for exchange students, right? So all these students that are listening to me over the internet right now, right, from foreign countries, I think that you will be quite pleasantly surprised when you come to Slovenia. And also from this living point of view, right, not only research point of view, I think this is the place that is quite nice to live and work in and do research. Okay, maybe now it's time for a little bit boring information, right? So about how to apply. It's the deadline for application is the 1st of June this year. So at least this is the first deadline. Usually we have another one also later on, but if you're considering that, please do apply in June. This does not mean that you have to have all the requirements fulfilled. So what are the requirements? Finished master or pre-Bologna equivalent study program. You have to do that until early September, right? So, but you can apply before that, and then if you do not fulfill this criteria, you cannot actually enroll. But the application does not require to have that fulfilled already, right? So, yeah, please, 1st of June as the deadline. You have to attach next to the application form all the standard enclosures like CV, copy of bachelor, master degree, and so on. What I would expose is a motivation letter. Please write down what you would like to apply for doctoral study, right? So what drives you? To do that, you also should attach 2 recommendation letters from your either supervisors, bosses, or professors, whoever you think that they might tell you something about you. And also, what you need to do before you apply, you need to find a mentor. And also an approximate, let's say, like short conceptual design of the research work, right? But this is really not very, so as I said before, you'll need to apply for the topic of research in the middle of the 2nd year, right? So you need a year or so to find out which is the topic you would like to work on, and you found a niche that you're certain that you can do that, right? And sometimes this is not very easy to find like a niche problem that you can go beyond what everyone else did. Probably now you don't know that yet, right? Exactly that research questions and contribution that you'll make, but probably you know the research area you would like to work on. And once you know that, you find a supervisor that like the mentor that also works in that area, and in this like attachments to these applications are like this topic and the mentor, and they're not carved in the stone, right? You can change that later on if you find out that maybe you should do something else with someone else, but typically this is not the case, right? So you can have like a thought or two, what is the topic that you would really like to do, and now is the time to write that down. And this is just a couple of sentences, so it's not really, it's one pager. It's not full description of the work that you plan to do. Okay, a couple of words about tuition fees. It's 4,200 for the first 2 years and 3,000 euros for the second 2 years. But I have to say right now that every year most of this is covered by the state, right? We have some calls that there is a sufficient amount of money that covers, I don't know, 80–90% of that, and the students usually have to pay the last 10 or 20%, but even that is usually covered by the lab or by the faculty or by the lab that student works in. So this is not a big deal, right? Usually this is covered by other institutions. Yeah?
Is this something you would have to return if you happen to drop out?
No, I mean, as it currently stands, basically you don't, right, Zdenka? It used to be, right? There were some requirements that needed to be fulfilled, but in the last couple of years, this is not the case anymore. So, but I wouldn't encourage you to think about that, right? So this is like calling bad luck or something like that. So no, it's not. Yeah, you have to fulfill the requirements to get that tuition covered in the following year. So if you don't finish the first year, you don't have to return everything back, but you will not get this for the second year, right? That's why you are encouraged to progress regularly. Then you get all the tuition fees covered, more or less. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Ms. Denka Velikonja is the contact point for all these administrative issues. If you have any question about that, you can ask her, and she will be, glad to help you. Okay. So this was about this bureaucratic procedures. Again, especially for the foreign students, we have this. You're here. Vesna Gračner, right? She can help you with this international, not problems, but about residence permit, visa, and so on. She can advise you about documentation for recognition of education, finding apartment in Ljubljana, and so on. So if you are coming from abroad, she is a good contact point to talk about these issues, so that you're not thrown into some strange wild world. She can help you with that. Okay, now when I was talking about that tuition fee, right? That was about what you have to pay in order to study here. Right? And then we found out that this is really not an issue because more or less everything is covered. But for the people of your age, you usually want to be paid for your work. Let me put it this way, right? So first you have to pay to study, but at some point you start to work, and usually you have to be paid, or you want to be paid at least, for the work you do. And research is a serious work, right? So that's why we're looking, and definitely you will be looking, for the positions, for the paid positions for the doing doctoral study. Of course, nobody will pay you to do the doctoral study. They will pay you to do the research that needs to be done, right? So, and these are primarily projects, or let's say these are like the positions that we have, open positions here at the faculty. So first, we are always looking for good teaching assistants, right? So, which means if you select to be a teaching assistant, partially you will work on your research. Basically, it will be aligned with your doctoral study, but you'll also have to teach, practice classes and so on. Most of you, at least those who studied here, you know what this is, right? And then we have like full-time teaching assistant positions, which are quite, you're very overwhelmed with these teaching assignments, and then it's like this doctoral work is a little bit more, difficult to do because a lot of time you spend with the students. Then we have half, right? So that half of your employment basically is teaching assistant, and then another half is on working on some project, which is much better because you can devote more of your time to research. You can have full-time research positions on some projects. We'll look at them a little bit later on. And we have a junior research position. I think this year we have 5 junior research positions. Usually students prefer this most, right? Because it's how to say, you can, not you, but you and your mentor can freely select the topic you will be working on, right? While other topics, working at the projects, you are somehow very tied to what the project has to deliver, right? But in any case, which is not, so I would really highly suggest you to work on your doctoral dissertation on a topic that aligns quite well with the topic of your main work obligations, right? So if you work on some research project on the topic A, and then if you work your dissertation on some topic B, which is orthogonal to A, this will prolong your doctoral program, doctoral study for sure. So try to match your expectations, your wishes to what is actually offered on the market. on the projects that are actually available. And here, these are those 5 junior research positions. One is with Cyril Bochak on a kind of these topics that are written here. I'll not read them. They're quite clear. Another one is with Luka Čehovin-Zajc, then Franz Jager, Matjaž Kuker, and Denis Trček. So we have like these 5 positions of junior researchers, right? If you're interested in these topics that are written here, you can contact them and find out whether they can offer you something which is interesting to you. But again, this is also my personal advice is you will spend 4 to 5 years on doctoral dissertation. And I promise you, there will be a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of frustration when something will not work and so on, a lot of great joy when you will overcome those problems. But I want to say is that you should work on something that is really interested to you, right? Do not just take something which is offered just because in 5 years you will regret that, right? So, of course, this is not a binary problem, right? You can find these intersections, but listen to yourself, right? What is something that is really challenging to you, something that you would like to, how did Yannick said before, right? To leave that problem field better, in a better shape than currently is, right? So this is what should be your driving force in selecting the mentors and the topics, right? But these 5 are definitely very good positions to think about, right? Then, okay, maybe Professor Stankowski, can you join us? And so Professor Stankowski, he has a lot of projects, EU projects, other projects, and he's always looking for good students and doctoral students, right? So please tell us something more, a little bit more about what you're looking for.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So just because it has inspired me, what was discussed before about how we come up to research topics. So there had been a few moments in my life that has inspired me, some related to curiosity and some aspects of life that I see are problematic, and then I want to work on this type of problems. The one that is like inspiring curiosity is the photon for me, because I know from the double slit experiment, nobody knows what happens with this wave function, So this is quite exciting because I think about this problem for maybe 20, 30 years since I learned first time in my life. And nowadays it becomes even more exciting for me to come to this stage in my life when quantum computing is becoming more and more popular, and we see that people are even thinking about building new type of machines that can calculate based on these photon properties, quantum properties. The type of problems we're dealing with are more inspired with the problems of society. And we started with this line of research about 10 years ago. And it's now coined, before we had the initiative on the human-centered cloud. Nowadays we have coined it it's becoming a big program of the Commission called the Human-Centered Internet. And here we work on software technologies that can be adapted in a way that serves humanity in the long term, meaning, for example, removing central ways of control and involving also some topics like AI, Internet of Things, blockchains, so quite a lot of decentralization, and also building economic systems around that, like or democratic systems that people can make some decisions in ad hoc community that is being formed, and so on. And also in relation to some technologies and standards of the semantic web, like the W3C decentralized identities, and things like that. So we have quite a lot of projects, as Professor Skočaj said, and you're welcome to come and we can explain you more about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. One slide about language and speech technologies, right? So again, we do a lot of research in this direction here at our faculty. Here are the, maybe, Istok, can you say something more about that? So since you're here. Yeah.
Our primary topic is language and speech technologies. So basically, as I said, our topic is language and speech technologies, meaning more and more focused on conversational AI. You all know how you like talking with your phones and trying to direct all gadgets or everything via voice, meaning natural language processing for a natural user interfaces. But our lab is mostly concentrating on Slovene language because there's a huge lack of digital tools concentrated on language and speech technologies in Slovenian language. So we are developing speech recognition, synthesis, large language models, high performance infrastructure, because as a difference to other laboratories who are mostly concentrated on the theoretical side and just the best possible model, we are also trying to find ways on how to make the models work in the industry, so connecting with the industry. And one example of such a project is a project that we're currently working on for the university, where we're trying to develop a system that is capable of a live transcription and translation of lectures, which are mandatorily held in Slovene language on the undergraduate levels for foreign students, as well as students with problems with hearing and sight and so forth, and projects like that. Yeah. So I'm open to all questions, and we're always searching for new students that are willing to put their sleeves on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Maybe just a word about language, since you mentioned these mandatory lectures in Slovene in the first and second cycle. On the doctorate level, all the courses are given in English, right? So we have everything in English. If there are only Slovene students on some of the courses, can be given in Slovene as well, right? But if there are English only speaking students, then the course is given in English, since we have a lot of foreign students as well, right? So also for dissertation, you can write the dissertation in English or in Slovene. Almost all of them are written in English because, dissemination is much, impact of such a dissertation is much larger, right? Which is the usual practice, so to write the dissertation in English. But if you want to write it in Slovene, that's possible as well, right? So just one comment on that. But if I continue with these positions, also Marko Robnik-Šikonja has a couple of projects on topic of machine learning for explainable AI and for natural language processing. Then Peter Per on computer vision and biometrics, mainly Veljko Pejević on mobile devices. And so there are many, even a lot of us, all of us, we are constantly applying for projects, and we're waiting for these outcomes of these calls. And once we get those projects, we are looking for good students to work on. So this is not an exhaustive list of what will be offered in a half of year when you will be actually applying for the position, right? So, or starting with your work. So just speak to potential supervisors to find out what would fit you best. I think that I covered all the slides that we had. Now there's time. Okay, maybe now it's time for questions and answers, right? So to me, I don't know if I've introduced myself at the beginning. I'm Daniel Skočaj. I'm coordinator of this program. So whatever question you have now or after that, pizza is already waiting outside, or tomorrow or whenever, just, send me an email, come to me. We can talk about that. So also Tomáš Curk is like vice dean for research. He knows everything about this. So we're very open. I always say that doctoral study is not a study, or if it's a study, we call it like a boutique study. So if you will study here, probably will be our colleagues, right? Not our students as until now. So like a relationship is different, right? So, and you can feel that, and we can work together basically. And that's, I think that's a good point, right? We don't have very many students here. Every year around 10 or 12 or something like that, right? So it's not that we have tens of students, so we can do it in this more, direct way, in direct collaboration between the students and the teachers and the mentors. We are a big, happy family, right? So, so to speak. But it's true, right? It's kind of you become a part of the faculty, right? But now, really, time for questions. Who will be the first? Please. Yeah.
How about having working in industry while working on your PhD? Is this also possible?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, it's definitely possible. If you're lucky enough that you work in a company that finds that interesting and useful and so on, so that they actually, as I said, like tuition fee is not a big deal, right? But if they allow you to work on the topic of your choice that can bring this, right? That's great, right? The problem is if you work in the company, they do not appreciate that, and you work 8 or 9 or 10 hours per day on the problems that are not related to your dissertation, then this is quite difficult, right? So we have a number of students from industry, and typically it takes like a year or so longer, which I understand completely. I would suggest also to these companies that such students stay at least, I don't know, 2 days a week in the lab. It's also beneficial for the company because like this doctoral student, he takes the knowledge from the other members of the lab to that company. So it's really a win-win situation. And in many times companies, they actually do allow that. So let me say like that. If the dissertation is aligned with the most of the work that you do in the company, then that's completely doable, right? If there is no understanding about that, this could be more difficult, right? So it's really up to company. But we have many students that also work in company. Yeah.
In terms of physical presence.
Yeah.
So how that works?
Yeah. So basically, we actually don't have a lot of. So we don't have 8 hours lectures per day. So when I was explaining the program, I don't know, like the seminar courses, they are given, you have to be physically present here a couple of times per year, right? Even other courses, some of them, they have regular lectures, but that's not that you have to be here every day. And what also we enable to a large extent remote participation. So I said before that we really encourage students to go abroad, to go to research visits, conferences, and so on. So we usually allow them to be present also online. But this does not mean that you can be, you can work remotely all the time. So this will not go that someone from, I don't know, Spain will live in Spain while work on the dissertation here. It can be a mixture of both, right? But remote only, it's also not, it defeats the purpose, I would say, right? But we are quite flexible with respect to that. Also the professors that actually hold the individual courses, they are very flexible. We understand a lot of our students actually work in companies, and all the lectures are in the afternoon, right, at from 4 to 7 usually. So that also we approach to the students from this point of view, but also like the students that are employed here, usually they have some pedagogical obligations, whatever, in the afternoon. That's why we have everything in the morning. We have everything in the afternoon. I would say we're quite open. We can discuss, right? But there should be a mixture of both.
You mentioned like 2 days per week in a research lab or something.
No, so this is a different story. So this is what I was talking about, the doctoral program, like these obligations about courses and all that stuff, right? So this is not a very heavy, I would say, obligation. The other stuff is research. So you can do it, all the research you can do at your home, or company without any problem. You are not obliged to come here. But what I say, it might be useful, and it turns out in most cases that it is useful that you sit in the same room as other colleagues working on similar topics that have similar solutions. I don't know, in our lab, we have twice a day, we have a coffee break, right? But that does not mean that half a day all the researchers drink coffee and do nothing. We talk, we discuss about this work, that new paper, that new paper, and that's more productive than any, being alone studying and reading some paper. So this working atmosphere, ideas coming from others, this is very useful, right? And this makes the study here different than outside of this building working alone. That's why this is my recommendation, that also someone that works in the company, at least I would say it's often visits a mentor here and also the other researchers here to gain this experience. But it's not prescribed, it's not obligatory. Yeah.
Okay, I have more questions.
Just go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
So the PhD, do you have like somebody has to accept your paper in a very renowned scientific magazine paper?
Okay, so the question was about so what is the, okay, I didn't, thank you for this question because I should have told that before, I didn't, right? So what are the official requirements to fulfill all obligations? You have to pass all the exams, right? Then you have to, in the second year of study, you have to have confirmed doctoral dissertation proposal, like this is official name, which basically is a topic where you write what are you planning to do, which research questions are you planning to address, which goals you try to fulfill, and which contributions to science do you plan to basically make, right? So this is in the second year. If you want to enroll in the third year, this should be accepted at least at our faculty, right, by the end of the second year. Then, of course, you have to write the dissertation, and we will assign, like the faculty will assign you a committee of 3 members. 1 member is typically from this faculty, 1 is from Slovenia, but not from this faculty. And if you write a thesis in English, then the third one is from abroad. And we typically really try to find like the top experts, especially like the third one, we can select from entire world, like the person that really is the the best expert in that particular topic you're working on. So these 3 experts will evaluate your dissertation and will have to evaluate it positively. An additional requirement is that before you submit the dissertation, the final version of the dissertation, you also publish a paper in a scientific journal. Official quotation is in a scientific journal, in SCI journal, right? SCI is a database of scientific journals that are recognized as good ones, right? And then you have like first quarter, second quarter, third, fourth quarter. Like the top ones are really great. The bottom ones are, some of them are okay, some of them are like, let's say, average. But this is the requirement, right? So that you also get an external confirmation of you did. So because when you publish a paper, some external reviewers have to find out that this is a contribution to science. That's why this is an additional requirement. And yeah, you may pay attention to that because it could take, it could take also a couple of weeks, but also a couple of months. Now, from my experience, now we are waiting for the final decision for 2 years for one of the best journals, right? So sometimes it takes months or years, but in some journals this is faster. But something to keep in mind, not to wait until last couple of months to publish something, right? Rather to start writing these papers earlier, so that you won't run into the problems at the end. Because the official deadline, again, to finish with your dissertation is 2 years after the enrollment in the final year, which means it's the 4th year, but officially, when in the first and second cycle, you have this absolvent, right? Here you have this additional year. So basically, you have 4 years of study, then you can enroll in the 5th year, and 2 years after the enrollment in 2 years, you still have time to finish your dissertation. And now there was a question, what does it mean after the enrollment? Is it the beginning of the year when you actually enroll, or the end of that year? And then we somehow decided that this is the end of that year, which means that basically you have 5 plus 2 years. So basically it's 7 years. So in 7 years, you have to finish your dissertation. And this should be enough, right? So, because in 7 years in computer science, what you said in 2nd year, that it's very important and so on, and in 5 years, in 6 years probably it's already obsolete. So I think these 7 years are quite enough. Right? So these are official requirements. But then, of course, you'll talk with your mentor. Usually mentor, they want to have a lot of work. So this is what you have to do officially, but probably you'll also like to publish more, to do more, and so on. But this is like the minimum that you have to pass. Yeah?
Research positions are age and grade limited, right?
Yeah. So what are the official? There is also, I think that the minimum grade is 8, right, for junior researchers, and also there is a age limitations. Maybe do you know that? Tomasz, do you know that? You know that.
The grade limitation was lifted this year. So I think the age limit is 28. Don't quote me on it, but I think this year the grade limitation was removed entirely.
How was it?
Because last year they moved it to only grades for master's program. They removed the first Bologna cycle, but this year they removed it altogether. Okay, interesting. Thanks.
Okay. Applicants to what? To the program. So we have 20 open positions, and basically it never happened that we went over that number. I don't think we'll go over that number this year. If you do, we'll have like interviews, and we'll consider there's rules, what is considered like the grades, interviews, and so on. I would really like that you have to select, but usually, frankly speaking, we know in advance that 20 is probably quite a lot, but we intentionally leave open so that we can have the second call as well, and that we also gather the best students, someone that maybe changed his mind during the summer, basically, and we collect them as well, right? But this is usually not a problem. Anything else? If you want to ask Yannick and Eva as well, so they're here. Yeah, maybe. So, like the final call for the final question? No? Then I will thank you, all of you, for coming here. I hope that we answered most of your questions, but if we did not, there is pizza. I hope it's still warm enough, because I saw those pizzas like half an hour ago already there. So yeah, do not hesitate to ask any questions, either now or later at some other point. And I hope that we will meet in October on the first lecture with like most of you, right? Okay, thank you.